Hello, my BariAftercare friends. Welcome to the podcast, and off we go with part two of the book review, Healing Emotional Eating for Trauma Survivors by Diane. I really hope you listened to last week because it gives a really good understanding of the reasons people develop emotional eating. And I love Diane's approach because she's not trying to get people to absolutely never ever emotionally eat again. Sometimes it's going to happen. And sometimes it happens because our bodies become flooded with the emotions, the cortisol, the amygdala gets, that's the part of the brain, that gets overwhelmed with emotion. And sometimes that emotion takes over our logical brain. It's not fun and we're not happy about it when it happens, but sometimes it happens. So she suggests that if you give in to emotional eating, make it a choice. Like, you know what? I am feeling so anxious right now and nothing else I'm trying is working. I'm choosing to eat this, whatever it is. And that can give you a sense of having some agency, like making a personal choice about this rather than feeling completely out of control about it. Knowing that you don't always get to that state, and sometimes you are able to use healthier tools to deal with the stress or to deal with the emotions, and you can calm yourself down and make a different decision. But sometimes it gets the best of you. So when that happens, we are not gonna continue to beat ourselves up with negativity, harsh self-talk, criticism. Instead, we're going to go, you know what? This happened. I'm going to continue to work on this. It's a lifelong process, and I am making progress. Because so many of us have, been bullied or criticized or picked on or left out or whatever it's been and whatever it's been about. But we don't need to be doing that to ourselves. And that's part of this emotional eating thing and our response to it. So here we go. We're going to talk about how to sometimes be able to not give in to the emotional eating by learning to calm ourselves, using our logic, choosing different outcomes. And if we do, to get over it, to move on, and to love ourselves anyway. Now I'm going to talk about some amazing, I hope you listened to every word of this episode because Diane gives some really great, as therapists, we sometimes come up with our own terminology or take an idea and really build on it and make it our own, kind of like in, what was that music show? Or is that music show? It's like, make it your own. Give it your own flavor. Well, in, like I talk about the gotta do'ems. That's a Connie-ism. That's not a professional psychology word, obviously. But Diane takes this idea of having a safety thing, and she calls it the sacred shawl practice. So I'm going to jump right in, starting today as we continue to go through the Healing Emotional Eating for Trauma Survivors book review, talking about giving yourself, she calls it, a comforting embrace using the sacred shawl practice. And what we're trying to do here when we share these tools for overcoming emotional eating is we want to learn to comfort ourselves because a lot of times, obviously, emotional eating is eating in response to an emotion. And it comes on suddenly. There's a specific, I got to have this and I got to have it now. We may or may not be aware that it's related to feeling anxious or scared or lonely or whatever it is. It's been our response to that, to stress. So as we're learning to identify, oh, this is how my body feels when it's stressed, I need to learn to calm myself down. Then I can make another choice besides food and get my needs met in other ways. Well, part of this business is learning to comfort ourselves and give ourselves comfort that we didn't get when we were children, when the trauma happened, or when the parent left and there was nobody to comfort us, and or maybe the pet died and people said it's just a dog, get over it, or maybe your sister went off to college and she was your confidant. Nobody said, well, of course that's tough. It's like, get over it, you're such a whiner. We need to learn to comfort ourselves in appropriate, kind, and loving ways. So, one of the ways, and the importance of this is because what it does is it helps our nervous system settle down. And that's what we want to do. It helps that chaos in the body kind of settle out so we don't turn to a substance or an unhealthy behavior to feel better. And we can say, what I'm really needing now is some affirmation, or I'm really needing some company, or I'm really needing some validation. And we can learn to get those things in healthier ways. And sometimes we have to give those things to ourselves. So, giving yourself and your body what it needs for health is what we're working toward. We want to be a well rounded, healthy individual, body, mind, spirit. So, Diane talks about giving yourself a comforting embrace using the sacred shawl practice. So, in the book, Diane talks about the part of yourself, the intuitive part of yourself, the spiritual or the connected part of yourself, the wise self, she calls it, your wise self. You may have heard of it referred to as, your higher power, or the Holy Spirit, or your connection to the source, or whatever you want to call it. She refers to this part of yourself that really knows what you need. You got to trust it. It's listening to that small inner voice for guidance, because you know what you need most of the time if you slow down and listen. So she calls this your wise self. It's the part of you that you were born with, and it remains unaffected by the trauma you may have experienced, she says. Your wise self, Diane says, loves you unconditionally. It's always available. It's ever present to you, and it's trying to guide you to your highest good. And she says the sacred shawl practice is something she came up with when she was reading a book called Self-Compassion, The Proven Power of Being Kind to Yourself, which was written by Kristin Neff, who's a PhD. And Kristin Neff is a self-compassion researcher. And what Kristin Neff says in her book is that physical touch, hugs, when you give them to yourself, can calm stress in the body. That's really important. The message here is we can learn loving, comforting ways to calm our own stress. She says, wrapping yourself, this is Diane, in your sacred shawl can reassure you. It can reassure your nervous system in the same way that maybe a baby who's upset feels comforted and secure when they're swaddled or held by their parents or loving guardians. So this is what Diane says to do to practice the sacred shawl. She says, find yourself a shawl. Now you can get creative and expand on this if you want. This is just me saying this. It can be a shawl, it can be a blanket, it can be a sweater, it can be, anything that you like. She says to bless your shawl. And what she means by that is use some affirmations that are associated with putting your shawl on. And she suggests these 3 affirmations. She says, I am calm. I am wise. I am peace. So she says, whenever you put the shawl on, repeat to yourself, I am calm. I am wise. I am peace. And then wear that shawl. Put that shawl around you and snuggle into it. Feel the nurturing safety. It's like, how well, I don't remember what we call the things that you put the babies in, those swaddling blankets. You swaddle a baby, you hug it tight, and it's a secure, safe feeling. So that's what you're trying to represent and conjure up for yourself with your sacred shawl. And she says, here are some suggestions for when to wear your sacred shawl. Maybe if you feel triggered to eat emotionally, put that shawl on. Remind yourself, I'm calm, I am wise, I am peace. And it can remind you to make a healthy decision for yourself. She says, wear your shawl when you're stressed or overwhelmed. Maybe wear your shawl when you go to see your therapist. You could take it to work. If it's a stressful environment or you feel yourself tensing up, put that shawl on and repeat those messages. And when you need to deepen moments of self-care. So when you're at home and you're just like, oh, I'm feeling out of sorts, use your shawl. But she also says to use your shawl at times of, good times, not just when you're feeling distressed, but when you're just like, oh, I just love how I feel right now. I'm going to wear my shawl and I'm going to just relish in feeling calm and protected and wise and safe. So I love the sacred shawl practice. And it, like I said, if you want to have a sweater so that, you can take it to work with you and you can put it on at any time, it's just a reminder of I can comfort myself and I can find comfort within myself. And I love that. Then she talks about connecting with your body, and she has so many great suggestions here because she says it's so easy for us to take our bodies for granted, or it's so easy for us, and how many of us do this, wish our bodies looked different. A lot of people don't like their bodies when they're carrying extra weight, and a lot of people like their bodies even less when they lose the weight and they've got the extra skin. It doesn't matter who we are. I read some research recently that talked about only 5% of people are born with bodies that most of us want to look like. So 95% of us are walking around out here criticizing and critiquing our bodies and not liking what they look like. So in Diane's book, you'll find this, and I love, 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 love this approach. It's not about learning to love our bodies, but it's learning to reflect on what they can do for us and learning to appreciate the miracles that our bodies are. So as you learn to calm your nervous system and you build a safe and secure place for yourself using your shawl, appreciating what your body does, then you're going to develop a healthier relationship with your body. And I love this. And she points out, and I'm going to read this directly, all healthy relationships, she says, thrive on mutual respect, loyalty, and trust. All healthy relationships, whether it be with a person, whether it be with food, whether it be with your body, thrive on mutual respect, loyalty, and trust. Your body needs these relationship building gifts too. Whoa, that's powerful. So think about, do you have respect in your human relationships? Do you respect your body? You may not like it, but do you have respect for what it does for you? Do you have loyalty and trust in your human relationships? What about with your body? A lot of us are not loyal to our bodies. We do horrible things to it. We don't exercise it, or we exercise it too much. We feed it unhealthy foods too much of the time, or we neglect to feed it at all. So there's not that loyalty. There's not that trust. So we've got to work on developing these healthy relationships. There's a lot of body insecurity. There's a lot of, emotional eating that goes along with body insecurity. So Diane says you add trauma to that, and then we've got this nervous system dysregulation, and we have a hard time, she says, feeling positive about our bodies. So rather than trying to force ourselves to say, oh, I love my body, I'm going to strip down naked in front of the mirror. She doesn't say this, I'm saying this. And we're going to look at our body and say, well, I love you. Because that ain't going to happen for this girl, me. Right? I'm not going to look at my body and go, ooh, love those dimples, girl. They're so cute. Smile at me. No, I'm not. I'm not going to do that. There's too much history in my own life of not liking my body, of having body shame, of comparing myself negatively to others. So what Diane suggests, and this to me is a absolutely revolutionary idea. Instead of being like, ooh, I love everything about my body, because that does not feel true to me. And several months ago, we had a workshop here, and a woman said, and it was so honest and true. She said, I'm never going to say I love my body because I don't. And I thought that is so true, and that's probably the truth for most of us. So Diane writes, I invite you to practice a body supportive mindset. Whoa, a body supportive mindset. Now, that most of us can get on board with. It's not like I'm going to love all the flaws I see in my body, but by God, I can support this body because I'm walking around in it till the day I leave this planet. So I can at least support my body as I live in it. She says it may feel easier to think of supporting your body rather than trying to feel something you don't feel. And I love that. Such a more palatable concept to me. She talks about how you and your body, you're a team, right? You're the caretaker. It relies on you. Your body relies on you. That relationship of, respect and loyalty and trust, your body's relying on you to take care of it. So if you're judging yourself constantly, if you're feeding yourself all this negativity about your body and berating yourself and obsessing about this, you're harming your relationship with your body. You're harming your relationship with yourself. You're a partner with your body. We want to have healthy partnerships. So your body, it's 100% dependent on you, and it needs your help. It needs your support. So instead of being like, woo woo, love it all, I'm going to get rid of this expectation that I'm ever going to look like what I would desire to look like. It ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. I'm never going to even have the 20-year-old body I had over 40 years ago. It ain't going to happen. So instead, how about I go, you know what? I'm going to partner up with my body and I'm going to support it and give it what it needs. It's never going to look like what I would like it to, but you know what? It needs me. It needs me. I have to care about this body. Not the number on the scale, not the lumps and the bumps. Yeah, I'm not going to like them, never going to like them. But I can offer my body support. And she gives some suggestions for doing just that. If you approach your relationship with your body with one of support, she says your relationship softens. It's more like, and I said to Diane when we had the interview, I've been married 40 years. I don't always like my husband, but I always want to support him. Heck, you probably don't even always like your children, but you probably always want to support them. So that's the kind of thing you want to have going with your body. I don't always like everything, but I am going to support it. And there are ways that I can support my body. And she says to say, I may not love my body, but I'm willing to take good care of it. Two things can coexist. I may not love my body and, she says, not but, and I'm willing to take good care of it. I'm critical of my body and I can be attentive to its needs. Isn't that just so beautiful? It's like, yeah, I'm going to be critical of the thighs and the bat wings and the triple chins and the whatever, but I can also give it what it needs. I can feel ashamed of my body, and I can treat it with compassion. Isn't that beautiful? It's like, ugh, I don't like how it looks, but I can treat it with compassion. Maybe you've got yourself an ugly dog. Maybe everybody's like, that's the ugliest damn dog I've ever seen. But you can love that dog and be compassionate with it. We don't all, physical beauty is not that well shared in the world. And yet we have love and compassion for the people who are in our lives, regardless of what they look like. We can do the same for our bodies, right? I love that. So both sides of the comment can be true, and neither one has to, Diane says, negate the other. So she says, remember this. You don't have to wait until you love your body before treating it lovingly. Ooh, that's so beautiful. You don't have to wait until you love your body to treat it lovingly. So she gives you some examples, and she says, here's some ways to befriend. You want to befriend your body. You want to be willing to be its friend. So she says, pay attention to what your body tells you that it needs. You got to connect with what she calls your body wisdom. When we're highly emotional or when we're, shut down from our emotions, then we're not able to pay attention. Sometimes to even know if we're hungry or if we need rest. She says when you ruminate on self-critical thoughts about how you look, you're not as open to giving your body the loving attention it needs. She says your job is to open lines of communication so you can heed and hear your body's requests. She talks about how your body holds this intuitive wisdom. And if we slow down and take time to listen, we can go, you know what? I just got to stop. I got to turn off social media for the day. I've got to tell everybody I'm not available. I need to rest. If we listen to our bodies, it will tell us what we need. But if we're punishing ourselves because we don't like our body, maybe it's like, oh my God, it doesn't matter. I'm going to push myself to make this 10 miles. When maybe after 1 mile, your body said you need to stop. And we need to listen to connect with that wise self, Diane says. It's another way of receiving intuitive guidance. So she says, remember, this inner wisdom is always present. And if you stop and listen, you'll hear its whispers. She made a recording that you can listen to, and in her book, she gives the link to the recording, and I love that. And she says, ask your body, what do you need from me today? What do you need from me today? So you feel loved and well cared for. What a beautiful thing to ask your body. Well, you know what? Your body might say, I'm really thirsty. Could you give me some more water? Listen to what your body needs. I'm really feeling like I need some vegetables. I need some vegetables. All right, this is Connie talking. I'm going to tell you something that my body sometimes tells me I need to sound wacky as all get out. But there are times when I am sitting, especially like sometimes if I'm sitting here and I'm doing therapy or whatever with somebody, and I feel like I need to stand on my head. I feel like I need to stand on my head, and it's my body telling me I need to look at things from a different perspective. I need to stop and tilt things and get a different view. And sometimes I have one of those things where you can rest your shoulders in it and put your head down and put your feet up against the wall. I feel sometimes like I literally need to stand on my head. So listen to your body and ask yourself, what do you need today? Well, I need to go for a walk. Okay, let's do it. So emotional safety, she says, comes from authentic and compassionate communication. So you need to have people in your life that you can share your thoughts and your feelings with, and you need to ask your body what it needs from you, and you need to listen to it, and you need to give that to it. So even if you feel disconnected from your body, she said, you probably feel obligated to take care of it. So when you feel disconnected, it feels like an obligation. I have to move it. I have to feed it well. She says when you feel connected to your body, when you say, what do you need from me today? What can I give to you? Then you're going to want to take care of it. What a beautiful thought. And friends, this is an easy tweak to make. You know what? I don't like how you look, but I do care about you, and I'm going to take care of you. What do you need? What do you need? What can I do? Just like you would say to a best friend, what can I do to help you feel better? What is it you need from me? Oh, I love it. So Diane says, take your body for a walk, not as a form of exercise, but you know how sometimes it's fun to go for a walk with a friend? She said, take your body for a walk and let that be your friend. Taking your body for a walk, she says, it's about scheduling quality time with your body, like you would with a good friend. I love that. And walking, you don't have to be on a power walk. You don't have to be on an exercise walk. She says walking is a way to calm your nervous system. And that's one of the things we absolutely want to do to avoid emotional eating. She says, take yourself on walking dates, get acquainted with your body, learn to understand it, learn to say, what do I feel when I'm feeling anxious? What do you feel like, body, when you're feeling sad? Just notice what's happening in your body. And it is so, so, so cool. Love it, love it, love it. Pay attention to your breathing, you know? She says, just take a walk with your body and don't be judgmental. And she says, talk to your body out loud. You know how I will suggest to you go in and talk to the food? Go in and have a talk with your food in the cabinets and in the refrigerator and at the grocery store. She says, talking to your body. She says, go for the walk and say to your body, you know what? This walking thing is so good for you. Our cells thrive in this moment. You know what, body? I want to feel connected to you. I want you to be happy. What a great exercise. Another great exercise, Diane says, and I don't mean physical exercise, but thing to do. She says, give daily gifts to your body. Now, how cool is that? She says it's a fun practice and it really boosts your relationship. You know how when you have a secret Santa at Christmas time, kind of, be that person to give yourself some gifts, a daily body gift. Because when somebody gives you a gift, you feel good, right? It builds that relationship. So shower it with gifts, and it doesn't have to be something big and fancy that you buy it, like a massage or a pedicure. It can be rub some lotion on your hands and go, here, I got this for you today. How does it feel? Doesn't it? Isn't it nice? Or, floss your teeth and go, gosh, I love that feeling of clean teeth. Personally, me talking, I'm a floss fanatic. She says, eat a piece of fresh fruit and go, God, isn't that the greatest feeling, that juice and that sweetness? Or listen, I got a gift for you, body. I got you a calming meditation. You know what, body? I got you a gift. We're going to take a nap. Give your body a gift. I'm going to give you a gift. You know what it is? We're going to sit here and we're going to breathe deeply for 2 minutes. Or, gosh, we're going to do this fun thing today, body. We're going to do a dance party. I got this great song. It's on my mind. We're going to do a dance party. I love this. Give your body a daily gift. It's so important. She talks about the intention behind it being just as important as doing the gift giving itself. Because you're intending then to search for something. You know, when you have somebody special in your life and you want to give them a gift and you think about something that they would really appreciate, do that for your body. Hey, body, what would you really appreciate? You know what? A foot rub would be an awesome thing. Oh, no shower tonight. I'm taking a bath. That would just be glorious. So the thoughts that you have about your body are going to lead to the healthier actions. And when you take Gain While You Lose, we talk a lot about how the thoughts and the feelings and the actions are intertwined. So if you're thinking about your body in this supportive way, this partnership, this trusting that your body has to do of you, it's a great, great, great thing. So I'm going to read you this list of 5 signs that Diane says that you're creating a more supportive relationship with your body. Number 1, you and your body can relax. You're going to start to build relaxation moments, taking that 2 minutes to breathe, giving yourself a hand massage, taking a bath instead of a shower. And this relaxation is not brought upon by food. It's brought upon by the gifts that you're giving your body. Another sign that you're creating a supportive relationship with your body is that you notice and pay attention to when your body has a physical need for hunger, when it feels full, when you need some water, you're thirsty. So as you become more aware of and listen to your body's internal signals, you're going to notice these things more, and then you're going to honor it more. It's like, I'm not really hungry. I don't need to put this food in there. I can calm myself with some of these other gifts that I've given my body. She says you'll know you're having a more supportive relationship with your body when you start to hear your body's wisdom. As you develop, that healthy relationship, the support, the safety, You're going to start to pay attention to when your body says, I'm done, I'm tired, I need to rest. You'll sense this in your body. You'll sense this in your mind. It'll just be this like, this little nudge. Pay attention. Pay attention to this. I'm telling you what I need here. Because yourself, your inner self, your wise self always wants to support you. And it will gently lead you. We got to learn to listen. It's not an easy one. She also says you can tell when you have more supportive relationship with your body, because when you notice that your body needs care, you take action. You don't just put it off and go, no, I need to take care of this other person, or no, I need to tend to this other thing, or you quit putting yourself last or not at all. So your job is to notice these things, and when you notice something like you need water, stop and get it. When you notice that your body's feeling lethargic and it needs some energy and it wants to move, take that 15 minutes. The world can wait for you. So you follow through with the preventive health measures. You go to the doctor. You go to the dentist. You do the physicals. You get the appropriate screenings, because you're developing this relationship of support with your body and you want to care for it. You don't have to love it and feel proud of it to go to the doctor and say, it's time for this screening. It's time for this cleaning. You take care of it because you want to, because you're developing this healthy relationship. And the last sign she says that you can tell you're developing this healthy relationship is you allow stressful emotions to flow through your body. So even though you don't like feeling tense or anxious or worried, you understand that those things are a part of life and that you can learn to tolerate those things, distress tolerance. She says, so when intense emotions strike and your body reacts, you can go right back to feeling like that emotional, scared, vulnerable child instantaneously. And the impulse is to numb yourself with food or alcohol or whatever you've used. But when you feel this safe connection with your body, you're going to be not so afraid of those intense emotions. You're going to go, okay, I hear you. I see you. I feel the intensity, but I want you to trust me. I, the adult me, is going to comfort you. I'm going to get my shawl. I'm going to take these few minutes to breathe. I'm going to calm myself and not turn to food. And this is how people learn to overcome emotional eating, by developing a healthy, trusting relationship with themselves and with their body and with their mind. And then she talks about cultivating inner emotional safety. And she says, before you can accomplish anything in your life, including healing emotional eating, you must first expect it for yourself and feel safe to receive it. In other words, you got to say, I give myself permission to learn to feel emotionally safe. I give myself permission to learn these tools and to learn that I am worthy of having these skills of, we got to get rid of the negative self-talk. We got to get rid of the I can't. We've got to get rid of what she refers to as the disempowering beliefs, because that kind of stuff sabotages our self-worth. And we got to get rid of that stuff, because the negative thinking, the stinking thinking about ourselves holds you back, whether you know it or not. But once we can identify and change our negative thoughts, they lose their power over us. And when you can begin to transition, she says, from familiar ways of coping, the food, the alcohol, the spending, the social media, you might feel a little bit of resistance because you're crossing into, she says, a border, and you don't know what's on the other side. You don't know what it's going to be when you allow yourself to feel. You don't know what it's going to be like when you allow yourself permission to stay at a lower weight body. You don't know what it's like when you give yourself permission to have a supportive relationship with your body. So you're going to have this this old brain going, run, run. There's this fear. It's self doubt. It says, danger, danger. But if you learn to feel emotionally safe inside, you're going to have the courage to create these new habits. And you're going to expect yourself to succeed rather than expecting yourself to fail, no matter how loud the fear gets. So, your conscious mind, she says, this is important. Your conscious mind guides many of your choices, but it's your subconscious mind that influences the outcome of everything. So, we think we got it going on, but our subconscious mind is really pulling on us. How you feel about yourself deep down inside, Diane says, affects every aspect of your life, including healing emotional eating, self-care, building relationships, and even managing your money. She says that's because your subconscious mind is so much more powerful than your conscious mind. You can tell yourself you don't want to emotionally eat, but your subconscious takes over. You can tell yourself I'm not going to spend too much money, but your subconscious takes over. Think of your subconscious mind, she says, as a container that holds the messages you received and the feelings you experienced when you were a child. You're not good enough. You'll never be good enough. You'll never amount to anything. Nobody will ever love you. You know, how do you expect to get a spouse if you don't lose that weight? That's what's in your subconscious mind. When children, however, if you were treated with love, respect, kindness, they're going to feel much more valuable and worthy. And that's what's deposited into their subconscious mind. So these inner resources are really powerful. So if you didn't get them, you got to start giving them to yourself. Everybody has some self-limiting beliefs. It doesn't matter if you grew up in the best household on the planet, right? That's just being human. But if you had the privilege, and it is a privilege to grow up feeling safe, excuse me, you're heading into your adult life a whole lot further ahead than those of us who weren't, because we carry that trauma and that self-doubt inside of us. But we can learn to be kind to ourselves, to calm ourselves. And even though a lot of people who are traumatized seem okay on the outside, they're carrying that stuff with them on the inside. So your subconscious mind is powerful. If it wasn't safe to express your feelings as a child, you're going to struggle with it as an adult. That's why you can't set boundaries. That's why you don't stand up for yourself. So we have to work really, really, really hard to overcome these subconscious messages that stick with you as you become an adult. So the desires of our conscious mind are no match, Diane says, for the might of your subconscious mind. Hidden beneath the surface, your subconscious holds all of your emotional memories in your mind and in your body, making it much more powerful than your conscious mind. So she says we got to learn to reframe. We've got to reframe the limiting beliefs to something that's hopeful. From I can't do this to I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to put forth effort. I'm going to work hard at this. So you got to repeat these reframed thoughts so that you can retrain your brain. And again, it sounds very complicated there, but your brain is able to form new pathways. Your brain is able to hold on to new positive thoughts, but it doesn't happen easily, and it doesn't come without a lot of effort. So we have to be compassionate with ourselves. You know, if you feel triggered and these negative thoughts come up, I don't deserve to be happy. It just takes too much effort to care for my body. Oh my God, this change is too hard. Food's the only thing that brings me comfort. This is the subconscious. These are the old limiting beliefs. We have to reframe that and be like, you know what? It is hard. It takes a lot of time and energy to take care of myself, but it gets easier over time. So it's changing these, but you've got to work at it. That's why this is a long process. So you can't expect yourself to overcome this emotional eating anytime soon, but you can make a dent in it. You can make progress. And this is what we're doing. And so when you have these negative thoughts about yourself, Diane says, say, you know what, I've carried this thought inside of me for a long time, but it doesn't mean it's true. I can learn to think differently now. And it's true. She says disempowering beliefs, these negative thoughts, these automatic negative thoughts, they're going to remain inside you until you've safely processed them and let them go. Safely process them means you talk to a therapist about where they originated. Who told you these things about yourself and why were they wrong? And you come to understand that you didn't have the problem as a kid. It was what was fed to you by whomever, the bullies or the whatever. But you are okay. And you can learn to trust that you're okay. And you can learn to trust that you'll take care of yourself. So that you can, even when you get triggered by these things that happened forever ago, it's not as intense. And you can learn to manage it. So you got to learn to befriend your fears by saying, okay, here you are again. Here you are, fear. I recognize you. You've been with me a long time. Doesn't look like you're going anywhere. But you can learn to manage them and go, you know what? This fear today is a signal to me that I'm looking for safety. So I can comfort myself. I can find safety. I can develop and create my safety. The fears that we have grew out of a need to survive, right? And so we can learn that we don't have the same needs today as we did as a child. We can find ways to comfort. We can find ways to calm. Diane says this, I want you to remember this. You are not a vulnerable little child anymore. You have resources now that you didn't have when you were a child. You no longer need to feel afraid. Whether you experienced trauma as a child or as an adult, the idea of losing food as your comforting friend may trigger unsettling emotions. I'm afraid to let it go. I'm scared about this. What will I do? She says, instead of feeling optimistic, as you make positive changes, you may feel the opposite. So it's not unusual. It's hard to let go of what's familiar, even when it's been painful. So what we do to gain strength is to talk about them, to soothe them. How can I soothe myself without food? I can get my shawl. I can call a friend. She says, create a sacred vessel. Ooh, this is so cool. She says, this exercise is like creating a spiritual healing pathway to your subconscious. Because what you do in this is you send yourself love, you send yourself compassion, you send yourself mindfulness, presence to fear. You get rid of the disempowering beliefs and the self-judgment. So here's how she says to create your sacred vessel. I'm going to go over this and then we're going to wrap up here real quickly. But this is part of the healing process, and it's very, very, very important because you're starting with this sincere intention to develop this healthy, confident, trusting relationship with yourself. And she says, find a container, whatever kind of container. She says, maybe choose a container with a lid to keep the contents protected. Because what you're going to do is you're going to fill this container with pieces of paper and small objects. So make sure it's got a fairly wide opening. She says, think of the container as a holy vessel, and it holds your precious inner world. Your thoughts and your beliefs that are in your mind, your body, your heart, and this external symbol. It's an external symbol so that you can hold these things and create some distance from them. Maybe you want to put a picture of yourself when you were a child in there, she says, or maybe as a teen. Maybe put it next to your vessel. That way, you're holding your inner child in your consciousness during your practice. So as you look at the things that you put in here, the things that represent your fears, the things that represents your negative thoughts, and you see a picture of yourself, it's like, I am connecting with you. She said, step 2, honor your crew of fears. Once you find the vessel, the container, it's time to name your crew of fears, she says. And remember, you're the captain of the ship. You're in charge here. Your fears don't want to hurt you. They want you to reassure them. Your fears are trying to get your own reassurance. Your fears are trying to get your own love. They once tried to help you, but now you don't need to react to the fears like you did when you were a child. She talks about taking a lot of time for this and, calm yourself with the diaphragmatic breathing. And she said, what you're going to do is you're going to be writing these fear-based beliefs on a strip of paper. So she says, keep one uncut piece of paper to list an achievable reframe. So if you have this thought that I hate my body, then on the other paper, the one I hate my body that you put in the jar, then on the other one you write, it's okay to feel however I feel about my body. I don't have to love my body to support it and give it kindness. So I love that. So on each strip of paper, write all those negative thoughts. Write your fears. Write your limiting beliefs. And after you write them, but before you move on to the next one, write the reframe. So again, you may have a thought that says, I'm unlovable. You write that on one piece of paper, and before you move on to something else that you don't like about yourself, you say, I wasn't treated lovingly, but that doesn't mean I'm unlovable. I can learn to give myself the love I deserve. So in other words, we're writing on a piece of paper that we're putting in the jar an unsupportive thought, an unsupportive belief about ourselves, and then write something, a way to reframe that. You can work with a therapist to do this. And set aside the reframed thoughts for later. But write all those she calls them your crew of fears, all the things that you've written out about you don't like about yourself, and add them to your vessel one by one. And when you put them in there, say the affirming statement, I am not this fear. This fear is not me. This is a thought or feeling that I carry, and it needs my love. Dear wise self, please hold these fears and thoughts in your loving embrace. Thank you. And then do this as you put each one of these things in your vessel. And then hold your vessel and notice how being present with your thoughts and beliefs takes some of the power away from them. It's like, wow, I've carried this around inside of me for so long. I'm putting it in here and realizing that it doesn't serve me well today. These negative thoughts are not helping me be the person that I want to be. And then she says, choose your love energy. You're going to add love to your sacred vessel whenever you are aware that one of these negative thoughts is bothering you. So put some loving materials in a special box or a bag placed next to your vessel, because you're going to want these things with you, these positive things, these loving things, these things that remind you of your goodness when the fears come up. She says, soothe your fears with love. She says, place a ribbon or a stone or the word love on a piece of paper, whatever that you decide to use into your sacred vessel. And then put your hands around the vessel and repeating the positive affirmations. And imagine that your wise self, your love, is floating through this container and it's calming those fears. Dear wise self, please hold these fears and thoughts in your loving embrace. So you keep adding love over time and you continue this practice. Get the book, read this, and do this exercise. It is beautiful. It is a beautiful thing to do. It helps you really see that I'm carrying around this negative thought and it's not helping me in my life. But here's how I can calm myself. And you have to practice these things. It might sound hokey, but these are beautiful, beautiful things. And the last thing that she talks about is learning to process your feelings mindfully and recognize that feelings just are. They're not good. They're not bad. You know, it's what you do with them that matters. So you might have this feeling like, ugh, you know, I feel disgusted. Well, I feel disgusted, but that doesn't mean I need to act on it. I feel lazy. Well, I might feel lazy, but I can still do what I need to do to honor my body. So feelings are a gift to us. They teach us what we need. They tell us what we need, but we have to start listening to them. I'm scared. What do I need? I need comfort. I'm angry. What do I need? I need to get this energy out. I need to move. I'm worried. What do I need? I need reassurance. This is me. This is not really in Diane's book, but she goes over different feelings and how that you can learn to process them and be with them. And she talks about children need adult support, and we need to learn to be our own adult support in our life today. And I'm really going to encourage you to take the Gain While You Lose class, because we go over a lot of this. And here's how Diane says that you can learn to process your feelings. She said, notice the feeling. Maybe notice that you have anxiety and just ask yourself several times a day, what am I feeling? How am I feeling? Name the feeling. Am I mad? Am I sad? Am I happy? Am I scared? Accept the feeling. I feel lonely and it's okay. I feel worried. That's okay. I feel angry. It's okay. I don't know what I'm feeling. That's okay. And then just be like, all right, this is how I feel. What do I need? I'm sad. I need comfort. Wrap your arms around yourself. Tell yourself something kind. I feel mad. I need to feel calm. Give yourself some reassurance or ask for it from another person. And then she talks about making a self-care basket, which is a pretty basket or a box. You know, think of things that are soothing for you, that are a healthy distraction, you know, reading or whatever. Put these items in your book, and when you're feeling something difficult, choose something out of this. You may have heard me talk about a tip jar. This is very similar. Something you can do that's soothing and kind and loving for yourself, and pause and do that. And of course, as we talk about all the time in all of our BariAftercare work, it's think about progress, not perfection. Progress, not perfection. And then she goes over a thing called the Healing Bridge. So you can read about that. I'm not going to take the time to go over that. Remember a couple of weeks ago, I did a podcast on personal power and taking your power back. Diane has a whole chapter on taking your power back from trigger foods. It's like, you're not the boss of me. Your emotions are not the boss of me. I am the boss of me. Just because I'm feeling angry, upset, or worried, I have the choice to also find comfort in other ways. All right. One thing I want to point out that Diane says, and I want you to give this some thought. You may think it doesn't pertain to you, but I'm guessing in some ways it does. You may or may not be ready to go there yet. But what she says, and remember, Diane has 40 years of experience as a therapist. She writes, all, not many, not most, all the clients I have seen over the years for emotional eating were also traumatized as children or adolescents. All the clients I have seen over the years for emotional eating were also traumatized as children or adolescents. She says, whatever the reason, I have not worked with anyone for whom emotional eating stemmed from the effects of diet culture only. While not everyone affected by diet culture experienced childhood trauma, having trauma history makes the damage of diet culture worse. And about depriving yourself, some people make all food choices okay. Some people say, this is not okay for me. She said, don't feel like you're depriving yourself. Think about if you have trigger foods, think about you taking care of yourself by not engaging in those. All right. So she has a section on choosing to allow trigger foods or choosing to not allow trigger foods. It's not the same for everybody, and I absolutely agree with that. So this, she says it's time to end the self-abuse. It's hard. She says it's impossible, actually, to overcome emotional eating by using harsh, self-critical words. I love that. I love that. She says, heal it and you with kindness instead. And then talks about the importance of self-compassion. So this book is a gem. It's an absolute gem. The name of the book is Healing Emotional Eating for Trauma Survivors by Diane Petrella. And I did not go into all of it, but I would seriously encourage you. It's a book filled with education that's easy to understand. It's filled with compassion, no harshness. No, you need to be doing this. You ought to be doing this. You should be doing this. It's, let's try this. Be kind with yourself if you don't get it right away. It's a beautiful book with tips and tools for you to use to heal not only the relationship you have with food, but the relationship you have with yourself. And maybe the reason I loved it so much is because it really resonated with so much of what I teach in the Gain While You Lose class. So read her book, take the Gain While You Lose class. You can find a link to that on my web page. It's www.conniestapletonphd.com. It's time for us to befriend ourselves, people. It is time for us to befriend ourselves, my friends. Trusting healthy relationships require loyalty, trust, good care. Let's start engaging in that with ourselves. Every day is a new opportunity to do that. You're not going to do it perfectly, but big deal. Every day you make progress is a day you're moving forward. So here we go. Remember, it's your health. It is your responsibility. This day and every day, make it a healthy day for you. I will see you next time. And as always, my gratitude for you for taking the time to invest in yourself with this podcast is much appreciated. Share it with others you know who may benefit. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.